Hi, I'm Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. Thank you for joining me for this IPA talk. And I'm so excited to have with me today a good friend, colleague, Cinda Klickna, who I've known Cinda now for several years, particularly in your role, former role now as president of the Illinois Education Association. So Cinda, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Yeah, so you've contacted me and let me know that you are now an author,
I am.
you know, and something that you're doing in your retirement, and definitely want to talk about your book that you've written. But I think it'd be nice to know just a little bit, Cinda, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of your background and your journey in education throughout the years, that kind of stuff. So thanks for being with me.
Yeah, thank you.
So talk to me a little bit about who you are for those that don't know you, and where you've been and what you've done.
All right. Well, I was a teacher in Springfield.
Yeah.
High school English. Started in the 70s.
Yeah.
When there were a lot of rifts taking place then. So I always say that I could wallpaper a bathroom with all the pink slips I got. I was riffed my first 11 years.
Oh my goodness.
So, but you know, then we stuck with it.
Yeah.
We stuck with it. And just became very active in the union, Springfield Education Association, then back to the classroom, then back to SEA, and then IEA.
Yeah, so how long were you with IEA then?
I started as Secretary-Treasurer in 2005.
Okay.
And then became president, and I retired in 2017.
Yeah, what year did you become president then?
2011.
Got it. Very good. Very good.
And I also was on the Teachers Retirement System Board for 16 years.
Right.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of stuff during that period of time.
Did.
You could have written a whole different kind of book
I could
through
have.
all of that. When I think about, gosh, we had the economic downturn and race to the top during some of that time. We had budget impasse at that time for a couple of years. The pension lawsuits at that time. Yes, which we actually were not necessarily working directly together, but indirectly all kind of rowing in the same direction with that whole issue too, and obviously got a positive result from that, so that's good. So retire in 2017, and fast forward a couple of years, and we're in a pandemic. So how's that gone for you? Obviously you've kept yourself busy with a few projects, but
I'm doing a lot of freelance writing.
Yeah.
And then I wrote this children's book.
Yeah.
And I have 2 grandkids now, so.
How old are they?
2.5 and 8 months.
Oh, wow.
2 boys.
So
they keep me busy too.
Yeah, right. So almost a COVID baby and then a COVID baby.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Are they doing okay with everything?
They're fine.
Very good. Yeah, we had like 4 or 5 COVID babies here at IPA, so quite a bit. Well, let's talk about the book, Cinda. So the book is Out of the Beaks of Birds, Our Crazy, Pesky Verbs. Love the rhyming that's going on here. Of course, you were the author of this, and then had it illustrated by Jim Edwards. So, obviously English is a background and doing freelance writing and things. But what got you to thinking maybe it's time to write a children's book?
I've always had it in my mind.
Yeah.
And I just keep hearing so many incorrect use of verbs, even on ads on television.
Right.
Just walking past people in stores.
So does that like fingernails on the chalkboard?
Oh, yeah,
definitely. As an English teacher?
Definitely, yes. So with my first grandchild, his name is Dominic, and I would sit on our porch, and I have bird feeder.
Like that while we're doing this.
And he was maybe 3 months old. I just start making up little stories using the verbs, and I thought, well, the pandemic, I'm really not going anywhere. Maybe I should put this into an actual book. So I sat down and wrote it. There are 5 stories that use 5 different birds.
Got it.
And then, obviously, there's a different use of a verb in each story. And then the verb is printed in the color of the bird in that story. So I really used a lot of ways that elementary children learn. Repetition, I've used colors, I've tried to use words that children should know when they come into kindergarten. I talked to my elementary teacher friends and said, what should I think about? And because I taught high school, so yeah.
right. I found that interesting
Yeah.
because of your background that you went and did a children's book. Of course, with your grandkids, I'm sure that makes sense. So, you talk a little bit about, talking with teacher friends and things, but, children's book, even compared to writing a novel, when you think about the audience and trying to get, things across to young people, that still takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. So you can't just sit down and put this together, right? It's like, what was your process for that? I always like when I talk with authors, we've had them, as part of these IPA talks, I'm just always curious about what it is that you did in order to go from conception to completion, because we have others out there that might be interested in doing something similar.
Well, first I started thinking about which verbs.
Okay.
Which
why did you pick the ones you did?
Well, see, saw, have seen.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, think how many times you hear that used incorrectly. Fly, flew, have flown, because that fit with a bird.
Right.
Then I wanted to do colorful, so the 5 birds are very colorful birds. One of the things I had to do was talk to a bird expert.
Really? Interesting.
Because I have one story where Grandma and Dominic are looking out the window at a nest and the eggs, and they're watching to see when they'll hatch open. I thought, I wonder which kind of bird you could actually see their nest from somebody's house. So I talked to a bird expert, and he gave me I had to switch some things around a little bit. But that was kind of an interesting, and then if you take a look at the back part of the book, inside a few pages.
Oh, you've actually shown.
Yeah. Right. I've added actual pictures of the birds.
Right, and a little bit of information
with
about
information,
them.
with websites that you can go to get more information and hear the birds. So I really wanted this to be, and it is being used, by preschool up through 5th grade.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that with the classrooms that this is being used in. I mean, what kind of feedback are you getting from the teachers with regards to
a lot of great feedback?
Yeah,
I've been very pleased.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised, actually. I had a 5th grade teacher who used it with her class. I Zoomed with them.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to meet the author very often with a lot of these books.
And
right?
I had signed the book to each child, so they had their own book. And she used it to really help them understand about characters and setting and storyline. I mean, the story itself is a little bit young for them, but she used it in a different way. I've had some other teachers use it. They've done some bird watching. They've drawn stories or pictures and made up a little story. So it's been positive. A program here in Springfield, Compass for Kids, couldn't meet during the pandemic, so they started a book club on every Thursday night, and they Zoom. They have a K1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And they give each child a book. And so I Zoomed 3 different times with them, read the book, talked about the book. And they were really fun because they would ask me questions about, well, how much money have you made?
You don't make a lot of money on as an author.
No, you do not. I said, I have not bought a new car, I can tell you that.
Right. Not J.K. Rowling, right?
Right, exactly. So I'm really hopeful that, once the pandemic is out of our way, I can get it into more schools and more teachers. I've had great feedback from the people who have bought it and used it.
Well, what I like about, especially with what you've done here, and of course these are birds that, for those that are interested, the cardinal, the indigo bunting, the Baltimore oriole, the blue jay, and then you've got the goldfinch. So these are all birds that kids can find in the area, whatever. So you've got the opportunity to have even cross-curricular lessons here with with reading and the English, the grammar.
I think you could write stories.
Science.
I think the science part, the just doing more research.
Even a little history is the cardinal being the Illinois state bird. All of that stuff.
True.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So any plans on a follow-up book or anything else like that, Cinda?
Well, end up having a second grandchild, and so everybody tells me I need to write another book.
That's a lot of pressure.
You could spend all day, every day, just marketing this book, but I've learned a lot about publishing, about the process, about getting a publisher.
So what did you do for that?
First I self-published.
Okay, got it.
And had it bound and printed.
Which is really, in today's age, much easier to do than it used to be decades ago.
But the problem is that you're not going to get your book in a bookstore that way.
Right.
You have to really have a publisher. And so I had, this book came out a year ago, around this time.
Yeah.
And there was an article in the newspaper, and all of a sudden, people were asking for this book. I had it in several shops, and had to have it reprinted.
Right.
Which was, wow.
Yeah.
Really? Because I thought, I'll just have a bunch of books sitting in my basement, and who knows what'll ever happen. So I'm considering another book. I haven't put it all together yet.
Yeah.
I think I'll do Verbs again.
Yeah. Well, if you keep having grandkids, another book. That,
I think we're.
But you've got a lot of. Well, you mentioned adverbs. You got a lot of parts of with grammar and everything else that you could tackle in this way. There are a lot more birds out there too. You could use also. How did you get connected with Jim? Was that a friend or
Jim? Was an art teacher in Springfield. Okay. I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's written a children's book who used him for the illustrations, so I called him.
Right.
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
Then you get a designer who puts the pages together, how it should fit, and so on.
Right.
So it's been a huge learning experience. When I've spoken to groups, sometimes I'll read the book to kids, but with adults, I talk about the writing process.
Right.
And the publishing process and all that takes.
So I'm curious, and this is a little PTSD type of moment for me when I was thinking about writing my dissertation, because I never felt like the editing was ever going to stop as I was working with one of my committee members who actually was an English teacher as well. So that was a blessing and a curse. It was a two-edged sword. But particularly when you worked with then a publishing company, was there a lot of back and forth with them about the content of the book?
Since I had already self-published, it was really mainly done.
Got it.
It was just getting their name on it.
Right.
But when I put the book together, I had quite a few people read it. I did not want a grammar mistake.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah, you think?
In a book about grammar.
As an English teacher.
And got suggestions. And asked people, how does it sound to you? And I got good feedback, so I thought, well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm not making much money on this, and for any school group or teacher, I sell it like just a few bucks over what it costs, because I want it in the hands of students.
Yeah.
I want teachers to use it as they see fit. And there are a lot of different things you can do with that book. Absolutely.
So where can people find out more, and where to go get it? Is it in the usual places you find books?
It's on Amazon. Okay. It's on Barnes & Noble.
Got it.
I do have a web page, cindaklicknabooks.com.
Got it.
You can order it through there. But, if any schools, teachers are wanting the book, I'll give you a group rate instead of paying because when you go to Amazon, they take a cut.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Pretty huge cut.
Right.
And that ends up costing you more. Yeah. So if you want to just go directly to me, I can get them out and so on. So
perfect. That's wonderful.
I had one school district use 90 books for their summer program.
Nice. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be sure to put the links to where people can find the book.
I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it.
All of that kind
of stuff. It's been fun. It's actually been fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, it's always good to see you, Cinda.
Yeah,
I'm
you too, Jason.
Appreciate, of course, our history and the things that we've done together.
I appreciate all you're doing now with the pandemic.
It's been rough going, but
we're
fortunate.
I feel for everybody.
Yeah, well, we've got good people out there doing good things, which is extremely helpful. So the book again is Out of the Beaks of Birds: Our Crazy Pesky Verbs by Cinda Klickna. good friend, former president of the Illinois Education Association. Appreciate you stopping by, as
Thank you.
always. Again, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. Don't hesitate to call us if there's anything we can do for you. And you can always check us out on the web at www.ilprincipals.org. Take care.